May 5, 1945, Okinawa. A 400-foot vertical cliff called Hacksaw Ridge erupts in artillery fire. 75 American soldiers lie wounded, bleeding out under relentless Japanese machine gun fire. One man refuses to leave them behind. He carries no rifle, no grenades, no weapon of any kind. Over the next 12 hours, he'll make 75 separate trips to the edge of that cliff, lowering each wounded soldier to safety by rope alone. This is the technical breakdown of how one unarmed man became the only conscientious objector in American history to receive the Medal of Honor. When America entered World War II, over 70,000 men were designated conscientious objectors based on religious beliefs that opposed killing. Most refused military service entirely. 25,000 joined in non-combat roles as medics and chaplains. Desmond Doss, born February 7, 1919, in Lynchburg, Virginia, was raised as a strict Seventh-day Adventist. His religious doctrine prohibited two absolute behaviors: killing another human being and working on the Sabbath, observed on Saturday. In March 1941, Doss worked as a ship joiner at Newport News Naval Shipyard. After Pearl Harbor, he qualified for military deferment as an essential defense worker, but voluntarily enlisted on April 1, 1942. His reasoning was precise. "I felt it was an honor to serve my country according to the dictates of my conscience. I was willing to risk my life on the front lines to preserve freedom." Doss refused the term conscientious objector, instead calling himself a conscientious cooperator. He specifically requested assignment to medical duty, where he could save lives rather than take them. The military classification created immediate problems. Army doctrine in 1942 lacked clear protocols for armed combatants who refused weapons. Doss became a medical corpsman in the 307th Infantry Regiment, 77th Infantry Division, assigned directly to frontline infantry units. At basic training with the 77th Infantry Division, Doss faced systematic harassment. Soldiers threw shoes at him during nightly prayers and made hostile remarks about his religious practices. The military chain of command responded with administrative warfare. His commanding officers attempted psychiatric discharge for alleged mental illness. When that failed, they pursued court-martial for refusing to hold a rifle. Doss insisted on observing Saturday Sabbath, refusing all work assignments on that day. His commanding officer, who was Jewish and observed Saturday services, initially denied the request, but eventually granted Saturday passes after intervention from higher command. One soldier directly threatened him, "Doss, when we get into combat, I'll make sure you don't come back alive." Neither discharge nor court-martial succeeded. Military legal review determined that religious accommodation fell within existing regulations. Doss completed training without ever touching a weapon. His only equipment: medical supplies, plasma, bandages, and a Bible. In 1944, Doss deployed to the Pacific Theater. He participated in 3 major amphibious assaults: Guam in July 1944, Leyte in the Philippines from November 1944 to February 1945, and Okinawa beginning April 1945. During the liberation of Guam in July 1944, Doss's actions under fire ended the harassment from his unit. Soldiers who had mocked him weeks earlier watched him repeatedly expose himself to Japanese fire to retrieve wounded men. For sustained medical operations on Leyte from November 1944 to February 1945, Doss received his first Bronze Star for meritorious service in combat. His technique was methodical: identify wounded soldier location, assess enemy fire patterns, approach using available cover, administer battlefield first aid, extract to aid station. No deviation, no shortcuts. By April 1945, his unit trusted him completely. The man who couldn't be discharged had become indispensable. On April 29, 1945, the 1st Battalion, 307th Infantry, assaulted the Maeda Escarpment near Urasoe-Mura, Okinawa, a jagged 400-foot vertical cliff designated Hacksaw Ridge. As American troops gained the summit, concentrated Japanese artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire inflicted approximately 75 casualties, forcing battalion withdrawal. Doss remained on the exposed summit alone. He implemented a systematic evacuation protocol using cargo nets originally deployed for the cliff assault. He would locate a wounded soldier, apply emergency medical treatment under fire, drag or carry the casualty to the cliff edge, secure them to the cargo net rope system, and lower them 400 feet to aid station personnel below. On May 2nd, he rescued a wounded soldier 200 yards forward of American lines, exposed to heavy rifle and mortar fire. 2 days later, he treated 4 men cut down assaulting a fortified cave, advancing to within 8 yards of Japanese positions to dress their wounds before making 4 separate evacuation trips. On May 5th, he treated an artillery officer under sustained shelling and small arms fire. While artillery and mortar shells impacted nearby, he administered plasma, a delicate procedure requiring sterile technique, precise needle insertion, and gravity-fed delivery over 15 to 20 minutes. Later that day, when an American soldier fell 25 feet from an enemy cave entrance, Doss crawled to the position while continuously exposed to point-blank fire, rendered aid, and carried the 180-pound casualty 100 yards to safety. On May 21st, during a night assault near Shuri, Doss remained exposed while his company took cover. A Japanese grenade detonated near his position, embedding shrapnel in both legs. Rather than call for a medic and expose another soldier, he self-administered first aid and waited 5 hours for litter bearers. During extraction, a Japanese tank counterattack trapped the litter team. Doss identified a more critically wounded soldier nearby, crawled off his litter despite his injuries, and directed bearers to prioritize the other casualty. While waiting for their return, enemy fire struck him again, causing a compound fracture of his left arm. He bound a rifle stock to his shattered arm as a makeshift splint and crawled 300 yards over rough terrain to reach the aid station. The Army's official after-action report credited Doss with saving 100 lives during the Hacksaw Ridge engagement. When informed, Doss replied, "Couldn't be. It couldn't have been more than 50. I wouldn't have had the time to save 100 men." Military historians conducting casualty analysis determined 155 soldiers ascended the escarpment on May 5th. Only 55 retreated without assistance. The remaining 100 required medical evacuation. In deference to Doss's humble estimate, the official Medal of Honor citation split the difference, crediting him with saving 75 men. The compromise figure between Army records and his personal assessment, modern tactical analysis, suggests the actual number exceeded 75, as Doss performed medical interventions throughout the multi-week Okinawa campaign beyond the single Hacksaw Ridge engagement. On October 12, 1945, President Harry S. Truman presented Doss with the Medal of Honor in a White House lawn ceremony. Truman shook his hand and stated, "I'm proud of you. You really deserve this. I consider this a greater honor than being president." Doss became the first of only 3 conscientious objectors to receive the Medal of Honor, the others being Thomas W. Bennett and Joseph G. LaPointe, Jr., both posthumously awarded during Vietnam. Post-war medical complications were severe. In 1946, Doss was diagnosed with tuberculosis contracted on Leyte. He underwent treatment for 5.5 years, losing his left lung and 5 ribs. He was discharged in August 1951 with 90% disability rating. An antibiotic overdose in 1976 rendered him completely deaf. His disability rating increased to 100%. A cochlear implant in 1988 partially restored his hearing. Desmond Doss died on March 23, 2006, at age 87. From respiratory complications. He was buried at Chattanooga National Cemetery. No weapon, no compromise. 75 lives saved. Desmond Doss proved the most effective combat weapon isn't always the one that takes life. Sometimes it's the one that preserves it.